everyone, welcome to the SOS Marketing Series. I'm here with the amazing Jerry Potter, and today he's going to share how restaurants can use tech to support their business during COVID-19. Hi, Jerry. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, I like to say my name rhymes with the boy wizard, so that's an easy way to remember it, Jerry Potter. And I am the founder of 5 Minute Social Media, which is a YouTube channel and business based upon getting more results on social media with less time. Everything that I teach was created while working in an agency, and then it's been perfected while working with lots of different small businesses, including restaurants.
Okay, awesome. So, if I'm a restaurant owner and I know that my customers can't necessarily come into my business, what are the ways or tips or tools that I can use to still keep my business afloat?
So this is a challenging time for restaurants, without question. Some restaurants are closed. Some restaurants are focusing on takeout. Some restaurants are, getting really creative. And I'll kind of start with a few examples. So here I'm in Seattle, and some of the restaurant clients here that I've worked with, like there's one big one that just said, well, I guess we're closed. And initially it was for 2 weeks. And now it's obviously been extended, and they're kind of trying to figure out, what they're going to do next, but they're not really set up for takeout. I have another restaurant client that's a chain of 6 locations, and they've decided to do takeout out of 3 of their locations because it kind of covers the major areas anyway, takeout and delivery, and they're doing relatively well with it. And then a third example is a client that's not only doing takeout, but they've actually gotten really creative, and they are doing cook at home dinners where they kind of provide all the ingredients. They are also doing, I have one client that is a steakhouse, and they're doing butcher boxes where you can go and basically buy a box of meat and seasonings to use for your family for the whole week. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but all of them are using social media to get the word out there and kind of get everything all set up. So without question, this is an unprecedented crisis for the restaurant industry. A lot of people are wondering what's going to happen afterward, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. What's going to happen when things get back to normal, whatever normal happens to be? Well, I think there are going to be a few phases that happen. First, we're going to adapt back to our new normal. And I think that's already starting to happen for people. And this isn't necessarily restaurant specific, but consumers in general. Initially, you go back even a few weeks, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm not buying anything. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how long things are going to be shut down. But now people are starting to function in their new ways. Some people are thriving in this new world because they are literally, offering online services where before there wasn't much interest, and now people are, buying like crazy. There are some businesses that are thriving in this economy, but for a sit-down restaurant, obviously, that's kind of tough. So
So you're saying that there is a way for restaurants to keep going even during all of this. It's just finding innovative ways and tools to reach their market. So can we touch a little bit more on uh, not only the different methods that your clients are using right now, but how people can go about going online? What would you suggest?
So there are a few different levels of ways you can serve people right now during this time when your restaurant is closed. And one way, for example, would be, and I'll kind of start with the minimum and then we'll work up from there in terms of, how much work and effort it might be. But one way that you can do it is you can simply have conversations with your customers online. If you are shut down right now, but you have loyal customers, they're probably happy to talk to you. So if you're doing social media posts, it can be things starting with things like, we sure miss you. We can't wait till we reopen. Would you like to, what would you like to make sure is on the menu when we reopen? Or what's your favorite drink you can't wait to have once, we reopen? Different things like that. If your restaurant's been around for a long time, you can have conversations about, around nostalgia. What's your favorite memory of coming in here? And these are different questions on different days. So one day you might be, we're curious, how many people have ever gotten engaged in our restaurant? It's more people than we can count. Do you know anybody that's ever gotten engaged? And if your post starts getting engaged as in, proposed to, not engagement on social media, but if the post starts getting engagement, it's going to reach more and more people. People might start, tagging friends, things like that. But the goal of this is to keep you in touch with your customers, even though you're not specifically making money from them right now. And an amazing thing can happen from this. You might have had somebody who literally ate at your restaurant maybe once a month and kind of took it for granted. And then all of a sudden, when it got taken away, they all of a sudden realized how much they love you, how loyal they are to you. And so this is an amazing opportunity for you to kind of, I hate to use the word capitalize in this environment at all, but it is an opportunity to capitalize on that and remind them of that. So when you do these kind of posts, you keep your audience engaged, thinking about your restaurant, then you have this, unbelievable, thing happening where on the back end, they're going to come back and they might dine with you more than they did before. Previously they might have dined with you because it's convenient or because it's, one person in their family's favorite place or something like that. But all of a sudden it's gone. And whether it's because they, didn't realize how much they loved it because it was so convenient, you take something away and you love it more. Or it's because, their kid's cranky because their favorite, spot's not open or, whatever it might be. You have this chance to build even more loyalty. So when they come back, they might come back every day that first week. They have a chance to come back and be super fans of your restaurant. And that's what you want. Ask any restaurant owner in the world. It's like, if I could get everybody who comes into my restaurant to come in 2 more times a year, I would make a ton more money. It's a lot easier to get people to come back more often. So it's really easy to go, well, I'm not making money right now, so I'm not going to do anything. But you have this opportunity to keep people engaged in that way. And maybe the conversation starts about the restaurant, and then you can connect with people on other things. What are you eating since you're not coming in here? What are you doing since you're at home? Have you been cooking more? You can have all of these different conversations, which again, keep you top of mind and keep your most loyal people becoming more loyal and your non-loyal people potentially becoming loyal. The next level from that is you could actually provide valuable content. So one client I work with has this massive library of home versions of their restaurant dishes. So if you come in to this seafood restaurant and you love everything that they make, well, it might be, not very feasible. Sometimes the way they make things in a restaurant doesn't make sense to make it that way at home. So what they're doing is they're sharing all the make at home versions of some of people's favorite dishes, and then people can try them. So you can put these recipes out. You could put out one every week. You could do a video where it's Facebook Live or write it up or whatever you wanted. And if you wanted to increase engagement, you could even maybe offer a gift card. I know people aren't looking to spend right now, but offer a gift card for, even a cheap one, $20 or something for everybody who, shares a picture of when they made it in the comments or something like that, just to kind of ramp that up. So that's kind of the next level there. But what we're doing here is we're not only keeping your audience engaged, we're keeping your brand top of mind, but we are also keeping you, connected in an even deeper way than you could before. One of the great things right now is, for the first time possibly in history, or at least in our lifetimes, the whole world has something in common right now. And we're all fighting it together. You could say that, I guess, in the past, in times of war or something like that, everybody's talking about that. But right now, literally, we're all fighting the same thing. And, what happens when we all team up? We become friends. We bond. Even though it's over the fence, I'm closer with my neighbors than I've ever been because I'm not seeing many other people in person, So you have this unbelievable thing that you can bond over right now with your customers in an amazing way. The next level, of course, beyond that is find ways to make money. And that could be selling gift cards. That's what a lot of restaurants are focusing on. When you do this, this is the messaging is important. You don't want to just say, hey, we've got gift cards for sale, because that sounds disconnected because you're not acknowledging what's going on. On the other hand, you don't want it to, be like, buy gift cards or we'll go out of business or anything like that. That's too far to the other end. But because we have all these things in common, you have this unbelievable opportunity right now to endear people and say, hey, we're doing everything we can so we can reopen, and we want to keep as much of our staff as we can in the interim. We would love your support buying gift cards. There's no expiration date, that kind of thing. You're kind of appealing to people, in their heart that way. The next level above that, of course, is to offer takeout, or if you want to offer a delivery, if you have a delivery service set up. Some restaurants are doing very well at this. I mentioned my client that has 6 locations. They're only doing it out of 3, so they can kind of run it this way. But internally, it's allowing all of their managers to continue to work, continue to get paid, and continue to support their families. So they're serving their audience by offering these dishes, and they have very popular dishes, so people are taking them up on it. And then on the flip side, they are also doing a really good job with the messaging that we worked on, where it's like, every message is thank you for, supporting us. so that we can continue to help our employees support their families. And we hope, in addition, that we're bringing a little normalcy into your home, or perhaps a special treat for dinner.
Okay, you spoke also on cost-effective ways, but what are other ways that restaurants can actually encourage people to buy from them, knowing that it's safe and it's healthy? Because restaurants, they do handle food. It has to do with what, the crisis, that's what's going on right now. People are very careful. What are methods or marketing what marketing advice do you have for those restaurant owners in terms of encouraging trust through health and safety?
So if you're concerned about your customers being okay with getting takeout, for example, it's really important to educate them. And if, let's say, we're talking about social media and you're posting, hey, we're serving takeout from these three locations and delivery from these 4 places, and, whatever it might be, in the post, you can say, for example, one of my clients is saying in every one, call us on our landline. We'll bring the food out. You don't even have to get out of your car. Or we can do no contact. Call us when you're here. We'll set it on the table out front. Go back inside. You can come and pick it up. So those kind of things are helpful, because there are some people that don't want to do anything like that, And so that's, I think, the basic thing that you can put in the post. But you could also have something on your website where it goes through all of the health and safety precautions that you're taking. And this is actually, I think, a good thing to set up right now, not only for what's happening currently, but also for when you reopen. When you reopen, some people are going to be like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I can come back and have my favorite pizza again. But other people are still going to be, apprehensive about going out and germs and, all of that. And so you're going to have to educate them. You can start educating them now. So put, verbiage on your website, everything that you've been doing, so that people know that it's safe. You could also share links to, make sure that it's to a credible source, but share links to anything that talks about, because there's articles out there about, how long they think the virus lives on paper, for example. So if they're handing you a paper bag, how long the virus lives on, mail is a big one. How do I pick up my mail? That kind of thing. And so you have the opportunity to educate people and let people know all of the safety precautions that you're taking, because in that way you are, not only teaching them, but you're also building more loyalty. Because whether other restaurants are doing it or not, they're seeing your message that you're doing it. And when you reopen, they're going to say, oh man, let's go there because we know that they're clean. So, and then I think the next level beyond takeout and delivery is just literally innovate. So I have one client that I work with here in the Seattle area, and he has 3 different restaurants, each a different concept. And he is a guy that is, heart above profits, day in and day out. So he's doing everything he can to keep paying his staff right now. He has been selling off his personal wine collection to raise money so that he can keep paying his staff, all these different things that he's doing. But above that, he's also getting really creative with things. And so I mentioned this briefly earlier, but he is doing, he has a steakhouse and they're doing butcher boxes. So you can come and for a flat fee, you can get a box of, chilled meats along with their, their actual spices and instructions on how to prepare them at home. And so some families have started and coming and buying a butcher box every single week. Not only that, he's not only keeping, money coming in so he can pay his staff, but then his suppliers are also able to stay in business because, all these things are still coming down the supply line. So there's really a big ripple effect that goes out from there. So if you are struggling through any of this, one of my favorite things to do, when we face a crisis like this, we kind of go, what's going to happen? Will I get through this? But the third question to ask yourself is, how can I help other people? And, depending on where your heart is, it might be thinking, how can I help my customers? It might be thinking, how can I help my team? But if you start thinking about how you can help other people, it's very likely that you're going to be able to turn around and help yourself in the process when you do that. And, right now is the time that we are all coming together. We're all trying to help each other. And so I just think that's a great place to start, is how can I help other people? And things kind of, your mind works more creatively that way. And you kind of figure out the logistics on things. And remember, everything's up in the air. So you could decide that if all of a sudden you're maybe you're not a meat restaurant, you can't do butcher boxes, but all of a sudden you decide to do breakfast packs to go or something, and after a week it doesn't work, then that's okay. You don't have to keep doing it. You can also be honest with your audience. Everybody's loving transparency right now. As you can say, we're thinking about, even before you start, you can say, we're thinking about trying this. Would you be interested? And see what people say. And then, of course, there's a difference between somebody saying, I'm interested, and then getting out their credit card, but that's kind of the first step. Then you could say, we're going to try this one time. We only have 20 of these breakfast boxes available. Would you like one? When they're gone, they're gone. And if they sell out, you can say, wow, we did this. They sold out. It was great. We're going to do more now. And by the way, the breakfast idea comes from somebody that I know that couldn't find eggs before Easter. And they had a restaurant that was doing some sort of cook at home thing. And so they went onto the restaurant's menu and bought the meals that they knew came with eggs, just so that they could have eggs for Easter to die with their kids. So, there are restaurants out there getting really, really creative with these things.
Okay, so also you spoke about having your team and being supportive of your team. What are ways that restaurants can actually incorporate their team into their restaurant marketing?
So, it's a tough time right now for restaurants and their teams, because if you have no customers, you generally clearly can't pay your entire staff. The payroll on a restaurant can be astronomical, and the profit margins are low. And the way the restaurants are set up mostly, I think somebody told me, I have a friend that's, I don't know if he's doing it now, but he was planning to open a restaurant in June. He's putting things together. He may not be able to open, may not open until things start again. But, he was telling me that for a first year restaurant, the average staff turnover is like 160%. 160%. So that's crazy. And the way restaurants generally structure themselves, at least from my understanding, I've never owned one, but you put your money into your key people. You put your money into your general manager or your floor manager and your head chef, those people. And then the other people you try and take care of as much as you can, but you have a lot of staff and in a very low profit margin a lot of the times. And so you do what you can do. So in this sense, ways that you can take care of your team in this time. You probably can't pay everyone. Be honest with them about that. Send notes to check in. And depending on the size of your staff, like let's say you have just one restaurant that you own and you've got 20 employees. You can literally, reach out to every employee once every week or two, send them a message on Facebook or text them or something. Hey, George, just want to check in, see how you and the family are doing. That will mean so much to them, so that when this is over, assuming they may come back and work for you. Not only that, but they'll come back and they'll probably work harder than they did before, because you were the one that cared. Even though you couldn't pay them, you cared when it seemed like other people didn't. And you can say, how are you doing? Okay, well, I'm really sorry. I'm doing all I can. I can't wait to get back open, and I hope you'll, stick with me. But in the meantime, if there's anything that I can do to help you, let me know. You could literally set one day on the calendar each week to reach out to everybody on your team. Do it every couple of weeks. This will go so far. The restaurants that are doing takeout and deliveries, they're tending to continue to pay their managers in terms of obviously taking care of their key people. And those are the ones that are working in the kitchens to get these orders out. So that's the first thing I'll say is take care of your people. It goes a long way. The second piece, which I'm mentioning second because the first piece is part of this, is feel free to use your team as part of your marketing arm, as long as you do it in a tasteful way. So if you are, let's say, doing takeout or delivery or anything like that, feel free to maybe start a Facebook group right now for all of your employees, and then share things in there. Invite your employees to be part of it and say, hey, if you have a chance to share this, it would be great, that kind of thing, because they can kind of become their own, evangelists for your brand. I'm not working right now and it sucks, but I'm really glad that the business is continuing. The owner's really great. The owner's really generous. Obviously, you don't tell them to say that, but, hopefully you've kind of conveyed that by checking in on them every 2 weeks. And so your team can become part of spreading the word, and just make sure that the message is always, thank you for helping us continue to serve our community and helping our team continue to be able to support their families.
Okay, I think that was very informative. That was a lot. This is really specific if you're a restaurant owner. There are a lot of key tips in here that you can start implementing right now. I would ask, what's the last takeaway that you'd want to share with restaurant owners after everything has happened. One tip that you think that they should think about incorporating after COVID has probably passed or things have calmed down a bit or going towards normalcy.
So last thing I'll talk about is if you are thinking about when you reopen, what's going to happen next. And I want to talk about this from two angles, one marketing and one a human angle. And, from the marketing standpoint, we don't know when things are going to open. It may be different in different states, different countries, different, parts of the world, obviously. But when we get to that point, hopefully you'll have a little bit of a window. Odds are after restaurants have been closed for a while, you're not going to be able to, necessarily open the next day unless you've already been doing takeout and your kitchen's been functioning. But if you've been closed, you're going to have to go back in, wipe things down, get things kind of up and running, order food, those kind of things. So there's a good chance you're going to have that window. So from a marketing standpoint, one thing that you can do is you can sort of build that scarcity initially. You think about, like right now, I'm missing some of my favorite restaurants. And so when they reopen, I can't wait to go, Sometimes I sit there and I think, all right, on my first day when things are open, where am I going to eat breakfast? Where am I going to eat lunch? And where am I going to eat dinner? You'll hear people that are, a lot of times people are in the military and they're overseas for a number of years. It's like, what's the first meal you're going to have when you come back? So maybe start telling that story, where, a lot of you have been telling us that we're going to be your first meal once things open again. You can even, start that thread now. We're so flattered and honored. What are you hoping to, have on our menu? Or is there something special we should add to our menu? You can involve them in the grand reopening process. What kind of decorations should we have? Or, different things like that. But get people talking about it ahead of time. And if you have a reservation system, use that urgency to get people to make their reservations. We don't know what it's going to be like when we reopen, because you don't. But it may fill up really fast. So we know this is our opening date. We would love to host literally every single one of you. But if you want a guaranteed slot, make your reservation right now. So you're kind of using that scarcity and urgency, and not even necessarily our first day, but our first week. We don't know what it's going to be like. But just in case we're packed, make sure you make your reservation now. So you're using scarcity. It's an emotional trigger for people to go, oh gosh, yes, I can't wait to have such and such seafood again. I'm going to make my reservation right now. The other piece that you're going to have to do to prepare to reopen, though, is sort of that human piece and that education piece in terms of the safety. When things do reopen, we're going to expect as consumers that your restaurant is cleaner than it was before it closed. Maybe your restaurant was as clean as it's ever been. Maybe you've never talked about these methods, but it's going to be important that you're continuing to, talk about the things that you're doing. And maybe maybe your servers used to greet people with handshakes and you don't do that anymore. Maybe reassuring people every menu is disinfected after every use, different things like that. So you're going to have those educational pieces that are kind of built in as well. And, the third thing is, when people do start coming back, celebrate them, cherish them. If you've got regulars, snap a photo, post it. We sure missed this guy. He used to come in every week and now we haven't seen him in 2 months. It was so great to catch up today. Or, different things like that. The stories of your customers, the returning, because all of that is going to build loyalty. People want to be a part of that. And every restaurant's going to be opening, but we're only going to be loyal to a certain handful.
Okay, thank you. And where can the Wishpond viewers find you online?
If you want to learn more about me on YouTube, you can just search 5-Minute Social Media or Google. It's usually the first thing that comes up. Or you can go to 5minutesocialmedia.com. It's spelled out FIVE, socialmedia.com. And there's all kinds of resources, videos, trainings, and different things that might be able to help you out.
Okay, guys, thank you, Jerry, for taking the time to share all of that amazing marketing tips, and also love the fact that you touched on the human side of owning and managing a restaurant. Exactly, so important. All right, thank you guys for joining us for the SOS Marketing Series. We'll see you guys next weekend.